Hey there, Mr. Reddit here. Welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled Parent Stories. Our first story we'll be reading today, entitled Mom and Dad Don't Know Movie Theater Etiquette. After that, entitled Mom Enraged Over Having to Pay for Cake and Coffee. After that, Landlord Wants to Sue Us for Hurricane Damages. After that, Karen thinks she deserves a bonus after being 5 hours late to work. And after that, this random guy tries to intimidate me into selling my car. Now, Karen told me if we can get 1,000 likes on this video, she won't try to intimidate anyone for an entire week, so please smash that like button. And if you're new, subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. And by the way, become an official channel member today and I'll give you a shout out in a video very soon. Entitled Mom and Dad Don't Know Movie Theater Etiquette. This story begins at my local movie theater. I've been working at this movie theater for almost 2 years, and I've had my fair share of entitled people in general. Unfortunately, this story will include a couple with 5 kids. Let's begin. I was in the middle of my shift, and I was working as super usher. As super usher, I have to check every theater to make sure the movie is playing fine and everybody is being nice and quiet. Soon I enter our second largest theater and Frozen 2 is playing. Any animated movie targeted to kids is always going to be messy and loud no matter what. There was a complaint that a certain family was being louder than usual. I head in there expecting excited kids and have to ask the parent/guardians to calm them down. Not this lovely bunch. We've got entitled dad, entitled mom, and the kids will be numbered 1 through 5, along with me. Me, whispering towards the family. Hi, I'm gonna ask you to calm down your kids. They're being a tad too loud. Entitled Mom. Come on, everyone else is being loud and rowdy. I'm sure we're not that bad. As she says this, Brat 1 starts shrieking in excitement due to a song playing, like louder than the movie almost. Me. Listen, I don't want to cause you guys any trouble, but you clearly see and hear them being a little more than rowdy. If you have to take them out of the theater for a second to calm them down, entitled Dad. Listen, don't tell us how to control our kids. They are perfectly fine as is. You can go away now. That line right there annoyed me a lot, so I warned them again. Me. I don't think you are understanding me. You have to calm your kids down or I will ask you to leave. They are being too distracting to the rest of the people in this theater and it is a problem. This is your last warning. After saying this, the oldest kid, or number 5 in this case, grabs brat number 1 from standing on the seat, trying to calm them down when the parents should have done in the first place. Entitled Dad didn't like that I threatened them with removal of the auditorium, so he threatened me back. If you even try to kick me or my family out, I'll get you fired within 1 day. All right, bet. I leave the theater to go fetch our police officer on duty. For reference, the officer at the theater is an absolute tank of a human being, but has a heart of gold. I tell him about the family and the overly aggressive dad. His response is, "What kind of person causes trouble at a Disney movie?" and walks with me back to the theater. Just when I'm about to point out the family from around the corner, number 1 is crying, loud, like crying in agony. The police officer walks up the stairs and gets the family situated to come outside. My manager, that heard the conversation earlier, and I waited for all of them to come out. Entitled Mom and Entitled Dad looked mad. Numbers 1 through 4 looked upset. Number 5 looked relieved to get out of there. Without missing a beat, Entitled Mom states her disappointment. Why are we being removed? That's unacceptable. Entitled Dad. I don't have time for this. I've spent too much money for this crap to happen. Officer. There have been multiple complaints that your kids have been a bit loud during the movie, and while I was entering, your littlest one was crying super loud. She was upset because the singing stopped. Officer, whatever the case may be, you did not take any responsibility for your kids and their behavior. Therefore, you all have to leave. I'm sure the manager here can refund your tickets. Entitled Dad heard the word refund and started to be petty. Does that include our concessions as well? No. Because your family bought and ate 4 personal pizzas, jerk. We walked them to the box office, and both parents kept complaining through the entire process. Entitled Mom threatening with bad reviews, an entitled dad threatening with calling corporate. I gave a free movie pass to the oldest kid because I felt bad for them and their dysfunctional family. The rest of that day was chill. There's always a speck of crap in your chocolate pudding. Next we've got entitled mom enraged over having to pay for cake and coffee. So as usual, a bit of background. I live in Bavaria, Germany, and during Advent it is very common for cities and villages to hold a Christmas market over at least one weekend, and so did my hometown. It is held at our local school, gym plus outside the classrooms, and is joined with the annual cribs exhibition, which are made out of wood almost entirely. It was held Saturday and Sunday, and my mom was one of the people baking one of the over 25 different cakes and pies that were sold during these 2 days. The place was packed on both days, and there was a reservation from a fresh mother that had her kid's baptism just an hour before the market would open on Sunday. They called in before the weekend and said they would be around 20 to 25 people coming in. This mom is the entitled mom of the story. Let's meet the cast. We've got entitled mom, we've got my mom, we've got co-workers of my mom, and we've got the craftsman. On to the story. Around 2 p.m. the market opens. The people start pouring in, and it was getting clear quite fast that it would be a full house. A mother with a baby, maybe 1.5 months old, was entering the seating area where my mom and some other women would serve coffee and cake. Following her is a group of over 20 people, clearly more than 20. She asks for the reserved places, and one of my mom's coworkers shows them to their area on the tables, and then it started. Entitled mom, where is the menu? Coworker, what menu? For the cake. Coworker, you can come over to the cake buffet and pick out any cake or pie, as well as your choice of coffee at our buffet table. Wait, so I have to get up again if I want my cake? That is not what I agreed to. It wasn't. They didn't agree on anything except reserving the seats. Entitled mom gets up anyways, leaving her newborn on the table, mind you, to walk over to the buffet table. She looks for not even a minute until, where is my cake? My mom, what cake are you looking for? Or do you want a pie? The cake I wanted. You should have it. Again, nothing ordered other than the seats. Mom, we only have what you see on display. Goes over the kinds of cakes we have. Prices are printed here, some with the coffee. Entitled mom, what do you mean prices? It should be for free. Ma'am, we have baked these cakes for the market, not for you, and no one said you would get free cake or coffee. But it's my baby's baptism. I deserve to get a free cake for that celebration. Miss, if you won't buy, please move along so others can buy cake and coffee. No, I want to speak to the one in charge of this. Now, my mom was the one who happened to take the reservation, and therefore is in charge of this. Mom, that would be me. I am also the one who took your reservation, which we normally would not even do due to the fact that we are quite well visited, as you can see. By that point, the gym was so full of visitors, they could only walk in lines, one line entering and one line exiting the gym halls. This made entitled mom use that bit of a brain she has, but I guess capacities are very limited for her. Entitled mom, okay, then I'll have this cake and a coffee. Very well. Mom fills a cup while another coworker hands her the piece of cake after she paid. Enjoy your stay. I could if you people wouldn't allow these abominations to be displayed here. Yes, she shouted that last part. This got the attention of the crib makers. Obviously, she was bad-mouthing them quite a bit before she came to the buffet table, as half of them, still 10 to 12 people, stood up from their seats and walked over to the counter. These guys are all craftsmen, and quite skilled and proud of their work. Craftsmen, listen lady, we held our mouths during your initial talk about our cribs, but if you think you can also order us to take down our work, you will find your face on the donkeys and oxes of our cribs next year. How dare you speak to me like that? Do you know who I am? Craftsman, God bless I don't. How dare you speak the name of the Lord in such a manner? You should burn with your ugly statues in heck. Craftsman, leave, now, or we see you out. Cue a lot of hateful language for what the Lord would be ashamed to hear while they threw her and her family out. The poor baby did start to cry from all the commotion, where the father was angry about her, but he followed up. I also got, by some miracle, some pieces of cake that I really like. Apple pie if you want to know. And served with this story, it tasted all the world better. Next we've got, Landlord wants to sue us for hurricane damages. I lived briefly in Florida about a decade ago, which is where I met my partner. We found a nice little 2-bedroom house that was owned by an elderly couple that lived just a few blocks away. Everything was okay. We did find some roaches after we moved in, which was quite shocking, as I am extremely clean and had never had roaches before. And when we told the landlords, they told us they were not roaches, but palmetto bugs. For your information, I think they are the same thing, and refused to have an exterminator come in. Bad sign number 1. Then a hurricane blew in. This was Florida after all. It was only a Cat 1 or Cat 2. I don't really remember, but there was substantial damage to the roof and a lot of water had gotten in. Being northerners, we had no real idea how to prepare properly, and the landlords just told us to lower the hurricane shutters, so that is all we did. It wasn't long after we had mold growing on our walls, especially in the laundry room. Reported it to the landlords, and they told us to just wash it down with bleach water. So we did, and it came right back. So it was a constant cleaning process. When we complained, we were told that was what life in Florida was like. They also came and took a look at the roof from the yard and told us, "You two are strapping young men. You can go up there and fix it. Just let us know when you're done." Yeah, no. Then another hurricane blew through. Again, only a category 1 or 2. But this time we had windows broken during the storm, and since our roof was still not repaired or even tarped from the last storm, our carpets and furniture were soaked. Here comes the black mold again, but this time not only on our walls, but on our carpets and furniture too. I spent the days outside with our dog, and we were sleeping in my partner's office. Our landlords again told us to just clean it up with bleach water, or that the damage was our fault since we didn't prepare well and hadn't fixed the roof ourselves. So we called the city and had an inspector come by. He walked in and balked at what he found. Black mold all over the carpets and walls. The roach population had a little boom, and he could tell, while looking at the roof, that it was in need of repair prior to the storm, and it still hadn't been tarped. The best part is, when I was standing at our open door with the inspector just inside, the old man came walking up, talking about how we better have repaired the roof and how they were going to charge us for all repairs and carpet replacements and mold removal, yada yada yada. Cue the city worker who came around the corner and asked him if he was the owner. He said yes, and the inspector told him he was condemning the house because it was not habitable and that it was not our responsibility as tenants to make or pay for the repairs. He also recommended that we should be released from the lease. Never seen an old man wobble away so fast. Later that night, his wife called, raising high holy heck about how she was suing us for damages, how we were not getting any money back, blah blah blah. She also said she had removed the condemned/danger signage that was placed on the door because it was embarrassing. People knew it was their property. But she made a mistake. She wrote us strongly worded letters about how we were taking advantage of the elderly, how all the damages were our fault since we didn't do any repairs, how she would not release us from the lease, and how many lawsuits she was going to hit us with. After contacting the inspector who saw our house, who took another trip to the house to replace the signage, we turned all of this in. He laughed and sighed and said he knew exactly how to handle it since he saw this all the time after hurricanes, and if they actually sued, he would testify in our favor since what they were doing was highly illegal. He then told us he was going to pay them a little visit and make sure the letters got into the hands of the right people, as well as how he had to replace the signs, another thing she admitted in the letters. About a week later, we got a really pleasant call from the landlady saying we were such wonderful tenants and how she was refunding our security deposit and how she was graciously going to let us out of the lease and not pursue any charges or the rent for the last few months, which we had refused to pay since we could not live there. And if we needed help finding a new place, to let her know, and she would refer us to some of her friends who owned property too. Nope. We did learn, because we were watching the situation, that the house had to be gutted and completely remodeled. We actually parked up the road with some takeout and watched a crew haul out sheetrock and carpet. They could have saved themselves thousands if they had just called a roofer and told someone to clean up the mold instead of making us call the city and have the house condemned and then do whatever they did to make them change their minds on everything else. Still wish I could have been there when they were confronted by inspectors the second time. The first was glorious. Next we've got Karen thinks she deserves a bonus after being 5 hours late to work. I work for a company that sells products at state fairs. Because of the temporary nature of our work, we hire a lot of people off of Craigslist. Most people are reasonable. Occasionally you get a dud, but this nutter takes the cake. So when we hire people, we ask them how many hours they want to work and what days they're available. This particular woman said she would work anytime, any day, except for 2 days during the 10-day fair. No problem. We schedule her for every day she's available, including a long shift, 10 hours, on our busiest day. Our boss cleared it with her that this was fine. She said it was. She started out great, was engaging with customers and showed up on time. We had mentioned to the employees that as long as they showed up for their scheduled shifts and did good work, we would reward them with a bonus. She had her 2 days off, and then she was set for the long shift on the busy day as her next day on. She was scheduled for 11:15 a.m. and texted me around that time saying, "I'm going to be a little bit late." No worries, I figured traffic gets bad around the fair and she'd be 30 minutes tops. An hour goes by and I text her to ask if she's almost there. She replied, "No, I was up until 3 a.m. last night. I need some sleep, so I'm coming in at 4 p.m. Also, the shift is too long. I can't work it." What? I replied that 5 hours is not a little bit late. You should have been a lot clearer about that and given us much more notice. This is our busiest day, and we could have planned for someone else to come in. And if that shift was too long, you should have told my boss or me, and we could have figured something out. Now this lady goes off the rails. She calls me petty, said that this was temporary for her and not a priority, that she was mad my boss hired more people and didn't give her more hours. The logic does not make sense. At this point, I'm done. I tell her we'll figure it out without her, and she can get her payment the next day. She then said, "I was planning on coming in at 4 p.m. Guess you have other plans." Lady, I was planning on you coming in at 11:15 a.m. Guess you have other plans. She then sends a rant about how everyone else we hired are crazy and she doesn't want to work with them anyway. My boss is disorganized. She was doing this as a favor for us. In that case, don't bother. I just stopped replying to her. The next morning she asks when she can get her money. I tell her anytime and that I'll meet her at the entrance gate. She says, "Great, see you then. Also, I'm bringing my boyfriend. He's a big black guy." Now, this feels like a threat. For perspective, I'm a 5-foot tall woman. Is this guy gonna try to fight me? I call my boss and basically say I don't feel safe meeting this psycho anymore. He tells me to bring security with me to meet her and keep him posted. He's in another state by now. She asks how much she gets paid. I said, X amount of hours at X amount per hour, so this amount. She replied, "What about my bonus?" I replied, "Not applicable at this time." Now she loses it even more and says she was promised a bonus. Yeah, if you show up on time, idiot. And I'm going to have to talk to her boyfriend about this and just going off. Keep in mind, this woman is in her 50s by the way. I contact my boss again and he says to offer her payment through PayPal. She refuses and says they're on their way. I am just over it at this point. Add her stupid bonus to her pay just to de-escalate the situation and get it over with. I have security come with me to wait at the gate. After waiting about 15 minutes, my boss calls me back and said he talked to her and sent her the payment over PayPal and I don't have to deal with her anymore. I immediately block her number. I screenshot all the texts and send it to my boss in case it goes further. I stayed completely calm and professional while she gets more and more aggressive. Oh, and she did not get her bonus. Next we've got, this random guy tries to intimidate me into selling my car. So my first car is an unusual one for someone in the UK. My dad gave me his 2.2 Vauxhall Astra Bertone in a nice deep red. I've already done some work on it for my dad, such as an aftermarket radio, new wider wheels, etc. But to have it as my own was something else. With its age being close to 20 years at this point, Since it was made in 2001, it has now started popping up with a bunch of electrical issues, which I can fix, but it takes time. The issue itself is a power leech taking power from the battery when the car is off. How I found where the issues were is where we encounter this male equivalent to Karen. We've got me, we've got male Karen, we've got male Karen's friend, and we've got my brother. So my dad drops me off at the garage. It's separate from our house, to where I see a bunch of guys around the area with opening their garages, which are basically storage units to them. They're all chatting, talking about their little hatchbacks and whatnot, but I just ignore them and go past them to open up my garage to see my car. That's when I noticed that the group behind me got a little quieter, but I paid no real attention to it. Then I set about opening the bonnet and getting my tools out to tighten any loose fittings. Then I get my multimeter to test for current and voltage across certain parts. I then go to start the car to get a full reading and to check how the car is idling. I give it a few revs and it sounds healthy. Then, once I got my head under the bonnet again, I was reaching around to get an alternator reading to when I hear a guy saying, "Oi!" I comedically smack my head against the bonnet from being jumped. "Ow! Hey mate, don't jump me like that, especially since the engine is running." Karen: "Oh, boo-hoo. How much for the car?" Me: "Sorry, it's not for sale." "Buzz off. If I say it's for sale, it's for sale." Me: "That's not how it works. It's my car, and I'm not selling it." "Let me tell you, you're lucky that I'm even asking to buy this piece of junk from you and not stealing it." Me: "You say it's a piece of junk, yet you want to buy it. Now you're saying I'm lucky you're not stealing it?" "Are you deaf? You know what? I will take it if you keep being a jerk." Me: "You can go ahead and try, but I fitted an immobilizer and a tracker, so if you do, I will know, and so I will call the police." "Oh yeah, sure you do. Now I'll be nice and offer you £100, or I will take it." At this point, this guy's logic is breaking my mind, and I can even see his friends in a bit of an awe themselves, with one of them trying to hold in laughter. "Look, I've told you it's not for sale, and even if it was, the least I would go for is £2,000. Karen laughs. "This thing isn't even worth 50. 100. Take it or leave it." No idea why he was shouting the whole time. Me: "Okay, now you're threatening to steal it." "Right I am, 'cause you're being stupid about it." Me: trying to de-escalate the situation since his friends just want to watch. "Look, just calm down and get back to whatever you were doing with your friends." "Not until I get that car." At this point, I'm more confused than anything. The car itself isn't even a classic or an icon or even a collectible, and they're a dime a dozen throughout Europe. Yet, this guy is adamant on my car that I'm not selling. On top of that, the yelling is causing the neighbors to peer out their windows and step outside to see what is going on. Me: "Just please calm down. If you want, I can help you find one online that's cheap, but mine is not for sale." "Give me that car, or else." Now I go from de-escalation into defense, taking note of my surroundings and looking to see if this guy had a weapon on him. Note: I wasn't exactly too worried, as he didn't have any weapons, and his friends were watching laughing. Also, I'm 6'1", he was around 5'3". Plus, I've been going to the gym and taking defense classes. What I was worried about is what if his friends were going to jump in after they've had their laugh. Me: "Sir, let's not escalate this." "Oh yeah, tough guy?" He then pushes me back onto my car. Cliché, I know, but it's what happened. Me: "Sir, please don't." "I'm gonna mess you up." My adrenaline then shoots as I'm now thinking what the heck might happen as I'm preparing for a fight. Me: "Sir, stop." That's when, almost on cue, my brother and friend arrive after being told by my dad if they can help me out with the car. That's when they see whatever the heck was unfolding in front of them and they rush over. Friend: "What the heck's going on?" Brother: "You back off," gesturing to the male Karen. Karen: "Mind your own business." That's when my friend and brother stood next to me. Now, I'm not exactly bulky, as I've only just started gym and defense classes. However, friend and brother are fully built, as they've been training in rugby for years. Seeing this makes the guy back off a little, but not without shouting at me and calling me names. That's when one of his friends finally steps in. His friend: "Mate, let's leave them be. We've got a meet to go to." "Fine." They then leave with one of the friends somewhat apologizing saying this is normal behavior of him. Then the male Karen leaves, but not without trying to toss a drink towards me and Mrs. Then the classic jerk gesture out the window. I explain what happened to my friend and brother, and then we get to work on the car after chilling for a bit. Hopefully that guy doesn't come back to try and take my car. And shoutouts to our Regenerals of the day: WR Girly 86, Jay, Rose Long, Nayla, and Vanzy. Become tomorrow's Regenerals by leaving as many Rees as you can in the comments below.